A choice to change the world began on April 11th, 1881 in the basement of Friendship Baptist Church, where two women, Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles, had a $100 pledge to fulfill a dream to create a school for African American women in the South. Little did they know, their dream, Spelman Seminary, would change the trajectory for Black women forever. Looking back more than a century, Spelman's legacy has always been about changing the world. The essence of this legacy was captured in this excerpt of an article written in the October edition of the Spelman Messenger, the year 1911. Quote, "The lessons of service and usefulness which have been taught all these years in Spelman have resulted in sending out into the world a body of earnest young women who find delight in giving freely what they have received. Those that were seen were but examples of many others that are doing as good work in other places." Spelman's legacy is more than historic. It is an infinite revolution that has enabled women, whether you know her name or not, to impact and shape every aspect of American culture, from industry game changers to literature and on the big screen, from shaping our government to innovative disruptors and leaders in corporate America. There is no question Spelman women have been at the forefront of change. Every woman that made the choice to attend Spelman College accepted the challenge to uphold the legacy and ensure her story will indeed change the world.
Good morning and welcome, my Spelman sisters, faculty, staff, friends, and sponsors to our 45th annual scholarship fundraiser. We made the choice, Legacy Rising. I am Patrice Thompson Francis, class of 1990.
And I am Crystal Woods, class of 2001, and we are your NAASC Atlanta Chapter Fundraising Co-Chairs.
The Atlanta chapter started the annual scholarship fundraiser in 1977 to help alleviate the financial burden for two Atlanta area students that attend Spelman College. To date, $400,000 and counting has been awarded to more than 30 students. Since starting this fundraiser, the cost of tuition for 1 year, it rose from $1,800 to now exceeding $25,000. Thank you again for your generosity and making a college education a reality for our scholars Tamia Arrington and Kennedy Robbins. You'll meet them in just a bit.
During this event, we will also recognize alumni and others within the Spelman community who have made significant contributions to our society. Our 2022 honorees join an extraordinary group of people who have ensured the legacy of Spelman will continue to rise. Now it's time to meet our scholars. Kennedy Robbins, a graduate of North Atlanta High School, is our senior scholar. She is an elementary education major who aspires to open her own K-5 academy. After graduation, she plans to enroll in graduate school. As Kennedy prepares to rise, her motivation comes from Proverbs 31:25. The Atlanta chapter will cover up to 100% of her tuition and fees.
Tamia Arrington enters her second year at Spelman as a psychology major on the pre-med track and as an NAASC Atlanta chapter scholar. She will receive up to 50% of her tuition paid by our chapter. After college, Tamia aspires to have a career in sports physical therapy, and she wants to own a local dance studio. Her goal is to uplift the younger generation and inspire them to pursue their dreams. Tamia's aunt attended Spelman, and she, along with the rest of her family, are ecstatic about her continued achievement. Our chapter scholars would like to share a message with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kennedy Robbins, and I am a senior education major from Decatur, Georgia. Words cannot express how grateful I am to be chosen as the recipient of the NAASC Legacy Scholarship. When I received the congratulatory email from Miss Jackson Jones, I was in awe. I had worked diligently to earn this scholarship, and I am extremely thankful that the Atlanta chapter of the NAASC saw something special in me and chose to pour into my senior year at Spelman College. Thank you again, and I am sure to greatly serve the NAASC as well as uphold the esteemed legacy of Spelman College.
Hi, my name is Tamia Arrington. I'm a sophomore psychology major on the pre-med track, originally from Savannah, Georgia, but currently living in Atlanta. And when I graduate Spelman, I plan to be a sports physical therapist and a dance studio owner. I'm so grateful to have received this scholarship, and it's honestly been such a blessing in disguise. I know that my aunt Cynthia Wright, who was a Spelman alum and also part of the Alumni Association, would be so proud of me for not only receiving the scholarship, but for making the choice to attend Spelman as well. You all have been such a big part of my journey at Spelman thus far, and I'm so appreciative for all of you, for all the relationships that I've developed and all the opportunities that I've received thus far. And I thank you so much for your support throughout my matriculation at Spelman, and I hope to continue to make you all proud. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Today, we are happy to introduce 3 women who are truly undaunted and beacons of light. They are legacy builders who use their time and talents to leave the world better than they found it. We honor them today for their achievements and impact. Dr. Victoria Seals, class of 1991, is our Community Service Awardee. She is an education leader and an advocate that has been making a difference in thousands of students' lives at both the secondary and post-secondary levels. Since 2016, Dr. Seals has served as president of Atlanta Technical College, where she is innovating and elevating in order to provide students with the best opportunities to help grow Atlanta's workforce.
Our sister Cheryl Taylor, class of 1972, now a Golden Girl, is a change agent who was one of the first to champion diversity, equity, and inclusion at the Federal Reserve Bank. During her storied career, she worked in various roles for the United States government. Though her career was mostly in government, she broke glass ceilings for women everywhere. And this is why she is receiving our Trailblazer Award.
And Patrice Thompson Francis, class of 1990,
Mighty
I know
90.
we are proud to say our third honoree is our current NAASC Atlanta chapter president, Adrienne Lance Lucas. She is this year's Distinguished Alumni Awardee. She is the principal and CEO of Lance Lucas and Associates, a firm that specializes in creating fundraising strategies that allow HBCUs not here, but all around the country to continue their legacies of educating for generations to come. In lieu of thank you speeches,
Why don't we start with a little bit about their Spelman experience?
So, ladies, isn't this great to be honored? And I know we're going to have this great conversation. So let's talk about our Spelman experience overall. So, Victoria, why don't you start? And we'll all just jump in.
All right, I'd love to. So, my Spelman experience. So, I am from Norwood, Georgia, which it is on the map.
Where is Norwood?
It's down I-20 East, about halfway between Atlanta and Augusta. But I'm a first generation college student, so the idea of Spelman was a little overwhelming, but when I got there, it was all that I thought and hoped that it would be. It was definitely instilling in me confidence that I matter, that a little black girl from a rural town can really do something and be somebody. And it was all about the sisterhood. You know, so when you look at the unity, the sisterhood, just the black excellence was truly the most impactful part for me being on Spelman. And I grew up playing basketball and actually had the opportunity to play my last 2 years at Spelman, go class of 91 with the Spelman Jaguars. But that whole experience for me was just so enlightening, so encouraging, and just I left there really feeling like I could just conquer the world. And so that whole concept of sisterhood and just empowerment is really what resonates for my Spelman experience.
That's awesome.
It is. My Spelman experience was very similar. It was very encouraging, empowering in every sense of the word. I was there in the dark ages where we had curfew, we had dress.
We were there with
We had a curfew.
Dress requirements.
Okay.
Yes.
And so my father was the one that encouraged me to attend Spelman. He did recruiting for historically black colleges with the AT&T. And he showed me a picture of Spelman and Morehouse graduating together.
Wow.
And so I said, that looks like the place for me. And at 18, I made the most powerful decision that has impacted my life to this day, that I have never regretted going to Spelman.
Absolutely. Well, I will chime in. So my experience at Spelman was fantastic, but getting there was not so great. So I know this theme has been about we made the choice. I did not choose to attend Spelman College. My mother is from Cordele, Leslie, Georgia, way down south. And she always said, if I have daughters, they will go to Spelman. But I'm from Minnesota. And so those that know anything about Minnesota, whatever pops into your head, those things are true.
Okay.
So I was the, one of 10 black students in a graduating class of 2000. And 3 of those people in my class, or in the school at that time, I was related to. So my journey to Spelman was very different. It was a cultural shock for me, but I always say it was the best decision that my parents made for me, because my mother, being from Georgia, she knew about Spelman and wanted to make sure that my sister and I experienced the greatness of the experience. And so I enjoyed every part of it, becoming true blue while there. I participated actively. You played sports. I was involved in student government. And it really did help to shape me, like you said, Cheryl. It has propelled me to areas of professional development that I never thought would have been possible. And all of that came from the foundation at Spelman. And so I think, why don't we talk just a little bit about professional careers for those who do not know as we continue on with the conversation, because I think all of our backgrounds are different, unique, regardless of the era in which we came, but we all were able to change just a little part of the world in some way, shape, or form. So Cheryl, why don't you tell us?
Okay, I was a sociology, social welfare major. And when I left Spelman, I started working for the state of Maryland as a social worker. And I was able to progress up to management. I began working with single parents. I worked with adult services, and that's where I was selected to be a manager. And I said, this isn't worth all of these hours that I'm spending for this money. So I decided to go back to school and get a higher degree. And I chose to go to Howard University and got my MBA. And from there, it was just a drastic shift in what I was doing. I went to Bank of America in Charlotte, their home. At that time, it was Nations Bank. And my choice was to go into branch management because I could still use that sociology as well as my business degree. And so I worked on the south side of town and really had a good career and chose to go back to the Washington, Maryland, DC area. And at that time, I started working with the Small Business Administration and Office of Women in Business. And from there, I went to the Federal Reserve System. And there wasn't many that looked like me in banking supervision and regulation. And I'll never forget what my first coworkers told me. Oh, they got 2 for 1 with you. And I said, 2 for 1? What do you mean? Oh, black and female. My answer was, are you saying I'm not qualified? And so I retired from the Federal Reserve System a few years ago and decided to move back to Atlanta. And from then on, and my experience with Spelman never stopped, because every city I lived in, I joined NAASC. Washington, D.C., we started the chapter in Charlotte. And then, of course, here in Atlanta. So Spelman is my guiding light.
You see why she's the trailblazer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. I was listening to you as you share about the 2 for 1. So I left Spelman. I'm a mathematics major, so I'm the coolest nerd I know. And part of when I left Spelman, I went to University of Georgia. So again, being one of only 2 African American women in the graduate mathematics program. And so that whole concept of sometimes how we're viewed and thinking that we don't really belong, but I see that as the impact that Spelman made for me in terms of being able to go to University of Georgia, be one of few and still be successful. My mom had always told me I would be a great teacher. She said, you're calm, you explain things well. And I said, teachers make no money. I'm not doing that. So fast forward, I actually started tutoring for the athletic department, and the light bulbs started to go on. So mom was right. I ended up in education, started out teaching actually 8th grade math, and then got into technical education. And so I was at Athens Tech for a number of years, and then Gwinnett Tech, and now president at Atlanta Technical College. But all of that, again, from that impact, I think that Spelman really instilled in me that, again, failure is not an option.
Right.
And so, and just feeling obligated, I think being women of color, and for me being from a small town, it's like I always represent every group. I represent my family, I represent, Black women. And so success is just, we have to be successful, right? So failure is not an option.
That's right.
And I think that's one of the major parts of that part of at least my career trajectory that's always been in the back of my mind. It's like, well, what's next? Because again, it's like we have to, be those women of impact and be able to make that difference for our families, for ourselves, for the communities that we serve. And it just continues to show up, every day in that manner.
I agree. And another thing that really has, I guess, guided me throughout my life after attending Spelman was the sisterhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no place anywhere that you can get the sisterhood that we received. My friends, my son's godmothers are Spelman's graduates. I can call on them morning, noon, and night and know they got my back. So it's just...
It's true.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what it does for you.
I think our sisterhood, the professionalism, my son actually went to Morehouse.
I did too.
And we talk a lot about, the Spelman legacy, but there's also a Spellhouse legacy that exists. And we often talk about all the people that he's exposed to and how he'll see them again. The further your career goes, you're always going to see a Spelman woman. You're always going to see a Morehouse man, whatever circles you're in, if you continue to achieve.
Correct.
I went to the Harvard Business School, so we all talked about it's the other HU. The other HU. Okay. But while at Spelman, I was an econ major, and it was the first opportunity that I had to actually do market research, right, in my dorm, renting $1 a day videos, like I was Blockbuster.
Wow.
And, but it was unique because I know if I had been in another environment, I would not have had that same opportunity or level of comfort in which to test out what ended up being my entrepreneurial skills.
Awesome.
So I think that the sisterhood, our legacies, how we've established that is so important and unique to Spelman. And I'm so thankful that my parents made this decision for me because I don't know where I would be without it.
I agree. I just feel that making the decision at 18 that has totally impacted my life, that I never regretted. It's not many decisions that I've made in life that I don't look back and say, why did I do that? But Spelman, there's never a doubt in my mind that it was the place that God intended for me. And I thank all of my Spelman sisters. And like I said, they're friends for life.
Indeed.
Absolutely. So what do you all ever think about just your identity? We know it's closely rooted with Spelman, but like you said that you were a nerd, a math nerd.
I said the coolest nerd.
The coolest math nerd. So the coolness came because you went to an HBCU. Is that what happened?
Yes.
But have you ever just gone back and thought about, your overall identity and how it was shaped at Spelman? And you mentioned your sister friend group. I think that's so amazing that we do, because I know coming from Minnesota, I would have been a completely different person. I showed up with pleated skirts and penny loafers with nickels in my penny slot and a cloth headband like Hillary Rodham Clinton. So I think that
That's okay. We love you anyway.
yes. Thank you for the love. But I think that, you know, how our identities were shaped here from a social justice standpoint. I know what happened during my time here and yours, Victoria, but what about you, Cheryl? How has that played a role?
Well, you know, when I was at Spelman, that was the rebellion year when we had people taking over, especially at Morehouse, the
Board of Trustees.
The Board of Trustees. And I called my mom. I said, Mom, this is what we're doing. You better not lose that scholarship. But it gave me a sense of how important it was to speak up.
Yes.
When you see things that are going wrong. And I don't know, like you said, if I had chosen another school, I would have felt that strong or comfortable in voicing how I felt. I know once I got to the work world, it wasn't that easy. So it was just the comfort, the sisterhood, the love, the companionship. I mean, all of that. And still having Morehouse across the street. I didn't feel like I went to all women's school. I just felt like that, you know, we stayed in our dorms and they stayed in their dorms, but they were always on campus. So it was like, it wasn't an all women's school.
Sure.
But the strength that it gave me, you know, it was the wisest decision I ever made in my life.
Yeah. I don't think that I ever would have been as engaged with either local politics or just being aware of so many issues. While we were in school, we had, you know, people sleeping at the front gate in shanty towns, their own makeshift shanty towns because of we wanted divestiture of certain things on our campus. We had the march in Forsyth County when Oprah came. That took place while I was in school. And I know that I would not, if I were at PWI, who would have brought those things to the forefront? I don't think anyone. So it's so unique and special what we have. We're blessed.
Indeed,
Yes, I agree.
When it's the legacy piece, you know, when you talk about just building that foundation, that, wow, the things that we got to see, got to be empowered and encouraged to speak out and to not just accept the status quo. Like, I'm more introvert, at least that's how I define myself. But at the same time, it's like working behind the scenes and doing the work to know that there has to be a difference made. Like even now, you know, we look at what we endured back then, but it's like the conditions of today, in some instances, it's not much different. That's true. And so we have to stay active. We have to stay alert and aware, making sure that we're having that influence to guide things to make it better, you know, for the communities. And so I think having that foundation at Spelman definitely built that, and it has me inspired in terms of the legacy that we'll leave. I don't have kids, but I'm the best aunt there is. And so for my nieces and nephews, knowing that what we do will have a positive impact for them is all the more just encouraging as to why we get up every day to do the great work that we get to do.
Absolutely.
So,
And I see also that, you know, even with the opportunities to go to campus, when I adopted a little sister from Louisiana. I don't think I've ever met a smarter woman. Wow. But I followed her through the 4 years. You know, you need to go to Sam's Club. You need to do that. That's the sisterhood.
Right.
I said, do you need to come over? She would store her items at my house when she would go back for the summer. And it's those types of relationships.
Yes.
You know, big sister to your little sister. And knowing that regardless of what you do, you're still my sister.
Yes.
And I'm going to accept you because we are allowed to be different. But respectful. And that's what I took from Spelman also.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the legacy, the term can be broadened, like you said. I don't have a daughter. My sister went to Spelman. But I also look at legacy in the ways that we give back now.
Yes.
So you adopting a student. I have found immense joy in serving, whether it's the students or alumni.
Right.
And I look back though, and there's always been some healthy combative relationships, right, with the administration at Spelman and trying to do and execute the things that either Spelman students want to see or alumni want to see. And during my time as SGA while on campus, that's what's carried over for me now to want to serve and establish a legacy for alumni and serving the alumni population. So I think that we can all contribute in many, many ways.
Indeed.
And we will and continue to, with the help and support of our sisters, of holding others accountable, whether they're within the administration or outside.
Right. I agree.
Definitely.
And every time I walk through those gates, it just lifts my heart. And
Were you there for homecoming, Cheryl?
no, because I was in Maryland.
Okay.
Grandbaby time.
Grandbaby time. Okay.
Yes.
Did you come back, Victoria?
Yes. So I have, like you said, the Spelman Sisters. So there's a circle that, again, for the introvert, ensure that I get out to the social gatherings. And so, yes, I was there for homecoming this year and for 2019. So definitely getting re-engaged and reconnected. But that, just being in that environment, like you say, whether it's walking on campus or just walking the streets and seeing the intenseness of just so much Black excellence, it's very humbling, but just so encouraging to say that, you know, what, our future, we have some good foundations in place, and we have a lot to look forward to. So definitely, you know, I'm always going to be supportive, whether I get to stay in the city or not, but that foundation and the roots are there. So yes.
And this was my golden year.
Yes.
Congrats.
And to be a golden girl is a blessing.
Yes.
And to gather with my sisters after 50 years was just heartwarming. And just to see the changes, to talk about kids and grandkids, and talk about and share about why Spelman was so important in every avenue that we chose. So Spelman is definitely near and dear, always be.
We have a lot to look forward to,
We
don't
do. And I'm going to say, the Golden Girls are the sharpest women on the planet.
Yes.
The planet.
Yes.
The way you all step out when you're celebrated, I just love that. And really getting to know and hear your stories and your path, because it hasn't been easy for any of us.
Right.
But the things that you all have encountered and how you really have shaped industries and people and sectors, it's phenomenal. We have a lot to look forward to, but a lot to look up to as well.
Indeed. Thank you so much for blazing the trail for the rest of us. And as we think about that, what is your most proudest accomplishment?
I guess my most proudest accomplishment was being involved in the Urban League's BEAT program, where I went out to historically Black colleges. So I think I've traveled to all of them during my tenure with the BEAT program. And the first thing that I would mention is that I'm from Spelman.
Yes.
And what Spelman meant to me. And encouraging the students wherever I was to support their schools, to let their actions speak for them as representatives of that school. And so it was just heartwarming to get up on stage and say, I'm a Spelman woman, a proud Spelman woman.
Indeed.
So I think that was just giving back to other minorities and letting them know that you can go wherever the doors, and you can open the doors. So go through them. Go through them and walk proudly and represent well.
I like that.
What about you?
My proudest moment, I would have to say professionally, has been, I have been in business for 20 years.
Wow.
As an entrepreneur, and we serve clients in the HBCU space, but primarily Black and brown. And so I'm proud because in order to get there, I served in male-dominated fields. So I've done private equity, I've done executive management consulting, but coming back and serving my own to really put them on a footing to continue this Black excellence is my proudest accomplishment.
Awesome. Well, along those same lines, I think in my current role, so I'm only the third African American woman to serve as the president of a technical college in Georgia, and our system has been in existence, for 50 more years, and so again, it shows something that I'm very proud of, but also that there's still a lot more work to do. That in 50 years, there should be more than 3 of us, but nonetheless, so that's the proudest accomplishment for me. Again, everything I do, I represent for my family, and to be the first in my family to do every milestone in my life is something I'm proud of, but also excited about, because that means for my nieces and my great nieces now, that they have a different trail that they can think about, and different pathways that were maybe not open to us, that now, the world truly is their oyster. And so, again, for me, it all started at Spelman. And so to go from, like I said, the small town in Georgia to being a Spelman woman and now a college president, who would have thought of that? So definitely my proudest accomplishment.
That's good.
Definitely.
And congratulations to Dr. Victoria Seals, Cheryl Taylor, and Madam President Adrienne Lance Lucas. You all are truly amazing and represent why it is so important to remember the cloth from which we are cut.
Before we close out our program today, we're elated to welcome to the 45th Annual Scholarship Fundraiser, Spelman College's newest legacy builder and 11th president, Dr. Helene Gale. And joining Dr. Gale will be New York Times best-selling author and past NAASC Atlanta chapter honoree, Miss Tiari Jones, class of 1991. Good to see you, girl.
Good afternoon, Dr. Gale. I am so happy for this opportunity to speak with you. I want to start off by saying welcome to our sisterhood.
Thank you. It's great to be part of it.
We are so delighted to have you. And I just want to jump in and ask you the question that's on everyone's mind. What do you see as your big picture vision for Spelman? What is the thing that gets you excited about being our new president?
Thanks so much for that. And there are so many things that make me excited about it. First and foremost, I came here because I just think that Spelman is one of our national treasures. It is a gem. And when I talk to these young women who really want to go out and change the world, it is just so inspiring to be around Black women at a place of excellence, building on a base that I think, we can only continue to go up. So, part of my vision is that we take this incredible institution and continue to build on its distinctiveness. There are areas where Spelman does better than anybody else in the nation, maybe in the world. We're the first producer of Black women who go on to get PhDs in STEM. We are building this incredible curatorial arts program. We have one of the best women and gender, comparative women's studies. You could go on and on about the things that really build Spelman's greatness. But I think there's opportunities to do even more. I think we could be more global. I think we could do more to build and enhance the community where we sit and who are our host, if you will, in many ways. I think there's even more that we can do in the STEM areas where, we know that the jobs of the future are going to really be in some of these areas of data science and mathematics and health sciences and, some of the other things that Spelman already leads in, but I think can continue to even be more of a leader. And I think, we continue to get high marks for innovation in teaching. There's more that we can do in areas like that. And again, areas like our social justice program, where our students are going out there with an ambition to change and to make us a more equitable and just society. I want to be able to, over the next year, work with all of our different stakeholders to really think about how do we continue to build on the base that we have, shape some of those areas that are, our areas of strength and greatness, and continue to propel Spelman not just to be the first number one HBCU. It is fabulous that for 16 years in a row we have been the number one HBCU. And I think we will continue on that journey. But I also think we can be higher in some of the other things. I think we can really break into the top tier of liberal arts colleges overall. And so, I just want us to continue to propel ourselves towards the kind of distinctiveness and greatness that we already know, continue to bring in these great students, and then focus in some of these areas that I think we can be even more known for nationally and globally.
It's interesting that you talk about the jobs of the future and all these different areas at which Spelman excels. And you are also a person that has excelled in many areas. You are like a powerhouse in the area of public health, global health, philanthropy, the private sector. It goes on and on. How are you planning to use all of your skills, experience, connections to benefit our beloved alma mater?
Well, I think that what I hope is that bringing all these things to bear will allow us to do some of those things that I talked about before. Because, I've had a long career that has allowed me to excel in many different areas. And I think it's going to take all of that. My background in health and science, I hope will give us even greater entree into some of those worlds. The fact that I have worked a lot globally, I hope that will be able to even propel us more in terms of our global access, our ability for students to have global experiences, as well as to continue to see how can we also have more global input into our campus. The work that I've done on several boards, corporation boards, I think allows us to continue to build some of the internships that allow students to have real world experience and access to a broad range of jobs. So I'm hoping that this kind of mix of things and different arenas that I've been in will bring some of that expertise and some of those relationships that we can leverage for the good of our students.
Well, please know that you are not alone. As you know about Spelman Women, as alumni, we take our alumniness very seriously. Like once you have ever walked under that arch, you are a Spelman Woman forever. And we as alumni really want to know, what can we do to help you meet your goals?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, my very first event on my official first day of the job was with the National Alumni Association. And I can't go anywhere without seeing a Spelman alum, often in leadership roles. And, it just makes me so proud. So I think alum can continue to help in a variety of ways. Already, people are giving back and working with our students with the program that, helps to make sure that students feel like they are part of the sisterhood and help with, their own acculturation to the environment. Obviously, alumni giving is critical, important. I'd love to set some even higher goals in terms of alumni giving. But also, you have access to so many different arenas. And so, as I talk about the, different sectors and arenas that I've walked in, there's Spelman alumni in all of those places as well. So we can be a great force together. And I hope that I can help to harness your support as alumni to help to further some of the goals that I want to be able to set for my tenure here as Spelman president.
Well, you can absolutely count on us. Now, before we go, when you're not busy running this world-class institution, what do you do? What do you do to entertain yourself? Like, what makes you smile?
Well, what makes me smile are my friends and family and people. I'm a people person. I love to entertain. I love to cook. Anytime that I'm not working, I will have a impromptu dinner party. All of you all are welcome. But I enjoy that. I love to dance. I love music. I'm kind of a jazz lover. I love to go to concerts. I love plays, and I love to read. So, for me, any of those things are ways that I like to kind of rest and relax. And I like to make sure that I get in at least a half an hour of exercise every morning.
Well, I will say this: you love jazz. You know we have Spelman Jazz on the Lawn now.
Yes.
It is a new program, and we will save you a seat on the front row.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much. This has been terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome again to Spelman, Dr. Gale. We know your leadership will ensure Spelman's legacy will continue to rise. We support you and truly appreciate your time today.
Today was amazing, but also really bittersweet for Patrice and I. For the last 3 years, we and the best fundraising committee ever poured our hearts into this event and others to continue honoring the Spelman legacy. As we end our time as co-chairs, we want to thank everyone that has helped us. All of our efforts have helped to raise more than $200,000 and counting. Keep that money rolling in, y'all. It has been an honor to give back in such a meaningful way.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, Patrice.
Well, everyone, we know how time flies. We've reached the end of our program. But before we leave, would you please give a virtual round of applause to our honorees, scholars, committee members, and most importantly, our sponsors. Without them, we could not have made this program a success. We'd also like to give a special shout out and thank you to Georgia Power and the Southern Company for allowing us to actually record in this wonderful conference center. It has been quite the opportunity, and we thank you for that. Also, we want to remind all of you that we made the choice.
Have a great day.
Have a good one.